Hi, hello, welcome to Diablo 4 Season 6. And really though, this is basically what you'll be seeing if you haven't logged into the game just yet. Oh my god, they really do love Spiritborn, huh? With that aside, once you're in the game and if you squint really hard, you might be able to see a druid or two. So I've made some updates on the Companion Druid build. If you're not familiar with this, we are basically capitalizing on the high damage output of the Wolf's active skill. We don't really care at all for the passive portion of the Companion skill, and that's when they hit enemies on their own, because certain skill passives or glyphs don't affect their passive damage output. Take for example the Spirit Glyph. Critical strikes increase the damage an enemy receives from you. When they say you, it means you as the druid and not including the companions. When a glyph or passive works for the companion's passive damage, it will blatantly say it on the description like you and your companions. Now the thing is, the wolf's active skill deals damage as if you, the druid, did the damage. So meaning all of those you we mentioned all apply to it. Alright, to walk you through the gameplay, you're basically running around casting all your companion skills, relying heavily on the pack leader's Spirit Boon to reset the skills whenever you get a critical hit. We're using Claw as our basic skill as it has the highest lucky hit chance among the basic skills, and we have Earthen Bulwark for Barrier and Unstoppable, and lastly Petrify to get more critical strike damage and additional CC. Okay, equipment time. So for my helmet, I have Air of Perdition. We are using this instead of Harlequin's Crest because the damage that we get from Air of Perdition, that 60% multiplicative damage, is better compared to the +4 to all skills that we get from Harlequin's Crest. We do lose that cooldown reduction from Harlequin's Crest, but in place of that, we are getting lucky hit chance and critical strike damage, as well as that, I don't know, that weird 200% damage to angels and demons thing. For my armor, I am using Tyros Might for damage reduction and being able to cap all my resistances. And ideally, you want to masterwork it on damage reduction 3 times or get one to roll into maximum resistance to all elements. For my gloves, I have Fist of Fate, primarily for multiple things like attack speed, critical strike chance, and lucky hit chance, as well as we get that bonus damage depending on that unique power. In my case, it's 1% to 300%. For my pants, obviously this is the unique that we need for the build. Storm's Companion. We do want to masterwork the ranks to wolves 3 times to potentially get that +18, but I haven't been able to fix that. And on my runes, I have Neo Se. So previously, I think I was using Zan, which is cast an ultimate skill, but because we've dropped Harlequin's Crest, I've switched over to Neo. And what's also cool about Neo is the companions can trigger the damage for you. You don't have to trigger the damage yourself. So if I demonstrate that here, if I trigger the AI to start attacking, you can see here every 2 seconds the druid starts farting wolves every 2 seconds. There. You see there? Yeah. So that's a power of Neo. Obviously, once you're in the field, you might get hit once or twice, preventing the wolves from getting out, but eventually they will spawn. So you also don't need to do anything. Don't have to cast any skill in particular to set the wolves up. So this is a better version in my opinion. Now for the boots, I'm using this to cap certain things like armor, and getting that massive willpower as well. We are using the concussive strikes aspect just to get more damage when they do get dazed. So one thing I do have to highlight is you do need a lot of willpower for your Paragon board. For example, in my case, I have 2,248, but if I look at my Paragon board, there are certain nodes where you need massive willpower in order to get the additional bonus. Like in this case, I can get another 4% maximum life if I get 2,450. Obviously, you can fix that with better gear, like if you have a greater affix roll onto willpower, for example, on my other equipment. So that's also one thing to keep in mind on why we have to get massive willpower. It helps with skill damage as well as your additional stats from Paragon Board. For my armor, for my weapon, I have a legendary polearm. We're using Shepherd's Aspect here, which is Companion Skills deal an additional damage per companion that you have, and as you can see, like based on the number of Spirit Wolves, that significantly boosts our damage greatly. And for the stats, we did get that new temper, which is chance for wolves to deal double damage. This roll is fine for me, like 97.5, that's fine, and then the other one rolled into willpower. So this is good. This is good. Ideally, you can get more GAs, like maximum life and critical strike damage, obviously. But I'm fine with this. For the rune word, we have Yule Cry. I think this is the same as last time. We have Yule, which we have Cry, and where's Yule? Yule, yeah. So Yule casts a skill with cooldown, and because of the reset that we get for companion skills, you'll be able to trigger Vortex very often. And that allows the enemies to be grouped together, and when you trigger wolves, then they would damage all of the enemies that were grouped together. For my amulet, I have Alpha Aspect. Your wolf companions are now werewolf companions, and for the affixes, we have Call of the Wild, and Venom, and then willpower, willpower. So I'm fine with this roll as well because we do need that massive willpower to get certain things. So on my ring, I have Moon Rage. This is chance to summon a wolf companion, plus 3 to wolves as well, and I'm prioritizing attack speed on this. For the last ring, I have Stampede. Gain one additional companion, and companion skills deal increased bonus damage. So for this one, I have critical strike chance as my priority, and then I did have that roll to damage to close enemies. I'm fine with that because that allows me to just have one item with damage to close enemies. You don't see it on my other items, and that allows me to cap my Thunderstruck key passive here. So that's fine, and that's great. Obviously, while you're leveling up, you might not have these items, so you might want to use certain alternatives while leveling up. For helmets, you can look for items that have +2 companion skills. That's great. And for armor, you can either go with the legendary one and then use whatever defensive aspect. You could use the one where companions will not die aspect. And alternatively, you can also use Mad Wolf's Glee if you want more damage to your wolves. So because of our alpha aspect, it converts wolves into a werewolf skill, and because Mad Wolf's Glee increases ranks to all werewolf skills, we get that bonus damage for bonus ranks to wolves. So for the gloves, you can use any existing. You can use legendary gloves as long as you have attack speed, critical strike chance, and for the aspect, I can recommend using Edge Master instead of this. We already have this aspect on the ring, right? So you can use Edge Master instead on your gloves. Oh, and one more thing, the way that you prioritize the certain affixes that you have on your rings or on your gloves, for example, depends on what you have. Ideally, for attack speed bonus, your cap should be 80% because your claw inherently has attack speed is increased by 20%. So your cap should be 80% for attack speed. For critical strike chance, you have a cap of 74, I believe. Because if you get into abilities, we have Predatory Instinct, which gives us 6% against close enemies, and then your Poison Creeper, Brutal Poison Creeper gives us 20% additional critical strike chance whenever they strangle enemies. So that's that. Depending on how much you get for these two, you can move your Spirit Boons accordingly. So if I go into Spirit Boons, this is pretty standard. We get Wariness, reduced damage from elites, and for the Eagle, we're taking swooping attacks and Avian Wrath. But again, if you have an excess of 15% attack speed, you can instead roll that into Iron Feather for more survivability. We gain massive 20% maximum life. So it depends also if you want to go the route of I'll use an elixir to boost my attack speed so I can use Iron Feather instead, right? So things like those, it depends on your playstyle. If you're gonna be using Fortitude or what is it called? Advantage, right? So for the Spirit Boons here, for Wolf, obviously you're taking Pack Leader, and then for the Snake, we're taking Masochistic for that chance to heal 5% maximum life. Okay, let's talk skills. For the basic attack, we already know. We're taking Claw, just one to Claw, and then take the Wild Claw, chance to attack twice. And for the core skills, we're taking Predatory Instinct for critical strike chance. For defensives, we are taking Earthen Bulwark. And for the passives, we're taking Backlash, Ancestral Fortitude, and Vigilance. For the companion skills, we max out Wolves, obviously, and then we are taking Brutal Wolf Pack. We are getting Humanity, increased damage while in human form. For Poison Creeper, we're taking Brutal Poison Creeper for the critical strike chance. For Ravens, we're taking Ferocious Ravens to make enemies vulnerable, and this is the Call of the Wild, the thing we prioritize on our amulet. So it deals, your companion skills deal bonus damage. Feral Aptitude as well. And then for Wrath skills, we're taking one to Neurotoxin, one to Toxic Claws, just to make the enemies poisoned for our Envenom to trigger. And the ultimate, we have Petrify, max that out. And for the passives, we're taking Defiance, Natural Disaster, Catastrophe for more damage, Quick Shift for more damage as well, and then Natural Fortitude for Fortify. And lastly, for key passives, we're taking one with Nature. And lastly, for the Paragon board, we are taking Keeper for the first board for that additional increased non-physical damage. Now if I go back, Wolves, as you can see in the bottom part, shows as lightning damage, and I'm guessing that's for the active skill. I mean, I've tested it out. It is for the active skill. I'm guessing the passive portion of Wolves will always be physical, but that's why we're using Keeper in this case. Go back. Next up, this is the Companion board, which is Untamed. We're using Earth and Sky. This gives bonus to all magic nodes within the range, and I'm using that to boost the companion damage nodes that are here. And for the third board, we're taking Thunderstruck and using Spirit for more damage. And fourth board will be Heightened Malice. with Fulminate. So again, because the active skill is lightning damage, we're taking Fulminate. For the last board, I just took Inner Beast so I can get some additional attack speed. We're not getting the legendary node. We don't need it, but we're using Wild's Paragon glyph here to boost the companion skills damage and taking all of the intelligence that we can find in this board. So ideally, when you are starting out, you do want to get the route first, like getting to the 5th board first and being able to get the necessary stats for the additional bonuses of your glyphs. And then once you have that in order, you can start branching out and taking additional things like like this one for additional lucky hit chance. You do also want to prioritize getting the resistances to all elements and as well as maximum life. You can also get armor, for example, if you still lack armor when you're in Torment 4. And that's one way to do it, is just to get more nodes. Obviously, like the leveling process once you hit 200 is harsh. Like it'll be slower. So just prioritize survivability first before you get into the additional bonuses, bonus damages like vulnerable and such and such. And that's it for the Paragon board. Just some final thoughts on the build. Overall, it is capable of clearing out all Torment 4 content. It is no Spiritborn, that's for sure, but still enjoyable nonetheless. There were some bugs that I noticed that I just wanted to highlight. One of them is that sometimes the wolves get stuck, like in this clip, where I didn't have my Storm Companion unique pants yet, and suddenly one of the wolves just got stuck midair. I even went underneath it, but it eventually corrected itself when I left the area. Another bug I've been noticing since Infernal Hordes was a thing is that for some reason the wolves just hate the Ether Mass and will not jump to it when I trigger the wolf active skill. This happens once in a while. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You can see in the clip they turn unstoppable, but they do nothing. And that's it. Please let me know your thoughts or suggestions about the build in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you and have a great season. Bye bye.